What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This is the fifth installment in the beloved swashbuckling series, where we find Indiana Jones in a new era approaching retirement, while he wrestles with fitting into a world that seems to have outgrown him. But as the tentacles of an all too familiar evil returns in the new form of an old rival, Indy must don his hat and pick up his whip one more time to make sure an ancient and powerful artifact doesn't fall into the wrong hands. This film is directed by James Mangold, who brought us 310 to Yuma, Walk the Line, Ford v Ferrari, and Logan. And it brings back Harrison Ford as our beloved Indiana Jones. And it brings in newcomer Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Boyd Holbrook, and Matt Mikkelsen. Now, this might be sacrilegious to say, but I am not the biggest Indiana Jones fan. I've only seen two of the Indiana Jones movies, and that is Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I believe it was either Temple of Doom or Raiders of the Lost Ark. One of those two is the one that I saw in theaters when they released it for a anniversary or just during the pandemic when they were releasing older films. And the trailers for this movie really didn't do much for me, and especially after the word of mouth coming out of Cannes, that definitely didn't do much to hype up my anticipation. But you add in James Mangold, who directed 40 Ferrari, one of my favorite films of the past couple of years, and Logan in there, then you have piqued my curiosity. Now, what I did enjoy about this movie is that you do feel the adventure side of Indiana Jones when it came down to this movie. I really liked the aspect of going into this new journey with him, seeing him how he is in his age. So all that really did work for me. I thought some of the humor at times worked, other times it just felt off and it didn't work for me. Plus, there were a couple of action sequences that I really did enjoy, and I kind of felt the intensity at times, but to me, overall, I was not the biggest fan of this movie. For starters, the movie is about 2 hours and 34 minutes, and you kind of do feel it in the runtime because there are things in this film that you could have easily cut down just a little bit, but it just goes on for a little bit too long, including a couple of chase sequences here and there that go on for a little bit too long. And you also have this prelogue at the beginning of the film that goes on for about 20-25 minutes, where you have a lot of Harrison Ford de-aging, and a lot of that kind of takes the wind out of your sails because it really does get you invested in this journey and this artifact that Indiana Jones is trying to collect in this film. But by the time that it finishes, you're kind of feeling exhausted. And I kind of wish they shortened that down because even though I did not mind the de-aging that they did on Harrison Ford for that opening, aside from setting up the artifact that Indiana Jones has to get, it really didn't do much for me. I was not all that invested, and by the time that sequence ended, I kind of was already checked out of the movie, so that was something that kind of took the winds out of my sail. Plus, you also have Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who plays Indiana Jones's goddaughter, that when she first gets introduced, I kind of like that she has a snarky, sassy kind of attitude just a little bit, but she kind of reminded me like a lot of characters in the Uncharted films where they just felt like backstabbing assholes. And she also has this little sidekick that also is a little bit more irritating than she is. And it was hard for me to get attached to this character and follow her for 2 hours and 30 minutes. And especially when it came down to her relationship with Indiana Jones, I thought she had wonderful chemistry with Harrison Ford, but her character didn't really do much for me when she gets first introduced. But as the film progresses and the film goes on, you kind of get warmed up to her. Aside from that, her character really didn't do much for me. Phoebe Waller-Bridge did a fantastic job. Never really seen Fleabag, so this was my first time that I seen her on screen, and I thought she did very nice in this role. I was just not the fan of the material that they gave her for this film. Plus, you also have Mads Mikkelsen as the villain of this film, and at times he pops in and out, so you kind of feel like he's underused just a little bit, and I kind of wish he would popped in a little bit more. Some of the humor, like I said, does work, and it does get you invested when it comes down to where Indiana Jones is in his point of life. He's now the get off my lawn kind of grandpa, so I really enjoyed where they took Indiana Jones. However, I was not invested in the adventure that we took with Indiana Jones in this movie because it just felt like it was a little bit overlong, and there were just a lot of points in this movie where it took me out of it, especially when it came down to the relationship between Indiana Jones and Helena. But there are some good action sequences here and there, And yeah, you can say that there's a lot of use of CGI in this movie, but to me, it really didn't take me out of the movie or made me dislike the movie more than I had already disliked it up to a certain point. And it just felt that by the time that we just wrap everything up, it just ends. And there wasn't really all that much closure for me. There is some fun to be had. If you are a fan of Indiana Jones and you were disappointed with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, this is going to be a movie that's going to make up for what that movie didn't have. And you're going to have aspects in here. There are some creative choices here and there that I thought could have been used a little bit better and a little bit more fleshed out. But overall, I'm going to go ahead and give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny a 6 out of 10. I didn't hate myself for watching this movie. I just thought that it was really long and some of the de-aging really didn't take me out of the film at all. There were a couple of points here and there where it did feel a little Scotty and it didn't work. But overall, it didn't really take me out of the film. I didn't hate it. I don't think it's the worst thing that this movie had to commit. It was just that I wasn't that invested in the journey that we were going on with Indiana Jones for Harrison Ford's last hurrah, and I kind of wish we ended his run on a better note. But those are my thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Have you guys checked it out? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know what is your ranking of the Indiana Jones films. Drop those thoughts in the comments below and I'll catch you guys soon.